Hey, welcome back. So we're hitting the trails to get a bit more grooming done. There's Lance up in front of me with the groomer. And that's me jumping a ditch. That's the only way this thing's ever going to get the front end off the ground. And that's Nick, riding Lance's old Elan. So like I said, we're getting out to do some grooming. And we're trying to get these trails kind of nicely beat down so they're packed in nice and firm so we can run the dirt bikes on them.
All good. Seems to be doing a pretty good job.
And as far as the groomer goes, well, that's the thing that basically Lance built. I had a little hand in some of the planning, but probably all the parts that are not working are part of my plan, and everything that is working is part of Lance's. Alright, Lance did do some good modifications after the initial run exposed a few weaknesses, and he added angle iron to the cutting edges, which is working a treat.
Try not to hit a stump out here.
I know, that's
Well, we can't really pass up an opportunity to get out here and play on what is normally a swamp, but you do gotta watch for stumps.
Gotta watch out for stumps, obviously.
Obviously. Well, turns out neither one of us were injured. The old sled's good for it. It just kind of glanced off and took a little bit of a right angle turn, and I didn't get to go with it. Nick seems to be enjoying that old Elan, but I don't think Lance told him it doesn't have brakes. Bit more trail clearing to do, but not a whole lot. At this point here though, we're trying to work our way back to a buddy of ours who's stuck on his Elan. Some little issue with it that is going to get corrected, but more on that later.
Derek's right in there. I'll just take my land in real quick, go see what I can do instead of you guys trying to beat through there because it's too narrow.
I can get in there on this probably.
Okay.
I
Just
think.
hang out here, I'll be right back.
I like how Lance goes, yeah, to my point about thinking I can get in there. Based on my 3 rides on this sled and his 20 plus years of sledding, I probably ought to have listened to him.
Yeah, I'll turn it around. You go get him, I'll turn around.
Go that way.
Think I can get out there?
I do like the vote of confidence Lance threw my way. Wasn't so sure that I could actually go this way, but more based on my skills than anything else. Turned out okay. This sled seems to be quite happy just to go off track and run through the woods, push down a few little alders. Doesn't seem to faze it in the least.
Couldn't fit through the trees.
It's good to be humble in defeat. Nick was good enough to point out to me after the fact that I forgot to video any of the repair work that we did. So here's where it went down. We went to our very swank Struggle Bunny headquarters north and wheeled the Elan inside to take a look at it. Taking a look at the chain case, which is where the problem was, and was identified by Lance out in the field, we knew that we had to swap that cog, which is underneath that chain that you can't see, around, because right here, if you take a look at the top hat part, that was facing the wrong way, which meant the chain was out of alignment and rubbing against the chain case. And it was rubbing enough that it bound up, and that's what caused Derek to get stuck in the first place, and what Lance was able to identify out in the field. With a little bit of swearing under breath and some pry bars, we were able to get it off, turned around and put back on, and everything was back in order in no time. And in the time that we were working on the sleds, our little group grew by a couple. So up front is still Lance, although he's got a passenger. That was Nick that just went by. Here's Derek on that very minty Elan. That is a nice machine. And here's Scott. Scotty picked up that sled for a really good price. It does have a sensor problem, but I think he's got it licked, and that thing's a monster. Now, I did say that Lance had picked up a passenger, and he picked up a significant one, none other than his significant other, Bridget. We've been planning to try and get the girls out on the sleds, just looking for those perfect conditions, and although today was pretty good, we hadn't really planned for it. Well, at least I hadn't planned for it to bring Kathy out, because I didn't know what kind of day it was going to be.
It's got 28.5 on it for miles. 2015. It's not really banged up or anything.
No.
I looked under it.
A little quick interview with Scotty on the sled that he just picked up, although he's got another one. Lance probably won't let him bring that new one out on the Chilli Run, because that's about vintage sleds. We'll see. And I did want to say something here. That little off-camber terrain that we just went through, this Enticer 2 is very stable. It never feels like it's going to tip over. It's just flat. It sticks to the ground quite well. And even despite just up here where I kind of jump off the sled to push it, just because my bad driving, it never felt like it was going to roll over.
How's that? Right there?
Great.
Alright, Lance wants us to have some trail etiquette where we pinch up and get in nice and close, so there's Scotty helping him get in nice and close, and here's a long halt where we're going to have a bit of a chat, get some water down range, and just talk sleds.
Man, that spot there will fill up with snow up to your chest right in there. I was in there before on that. Yeah? Yeah. So this...
Everyone rested up, some water down range, it's time to move again, and here's where Nick is going to demonstrate that he's gotten quite comfortable on the little Elan, and he's going to open her up a little bit. Unfortunately though, things don't go as planned. And here's my reference to Gone in 60 Seconds, where the little Elan becomes Nick's Eleanor.
Oh no! Just pop right out or snap?
Yeah, it snapped. So this had broken before, and I've had to put a bolt in it and then weld it. So I'll have to do the same thing again. All good. Whatever. We'll get you towed home.
Lance had such the opportunity to play that one out a bit. As it is, we've shifted some people around. I've got the responsibility of getting Bridget home safely. Thanks for trusting me there, Lance. And, well, more to Bridget's credit, she trusted me to get her back off the trail. Only because Nick's a fairly big lad, and putting the two of us on this sled might have been a bit taxing for it. So Nick's going to jump on with Lance on the bigger 570. And we're going to take the little Elan out, and no doubt it'll get fixed up in no time. I'll call this little section the postscript. So the Elan was easy enough to get out of the woods, proved no issue at all to drag it out, and it's going to be no issue at all to fix it. In fact, I think it's going to be fixed this week. Just dropping a bolt down into the stem of that steering tube and welding it all up, and that'll be a much stronger weld and shouldn't be a problem in the future. The other thing I was going to talk about was my enticer 2. I mentioned earlier in this video that it was bogging down a little bit, and that seemed to be happening in the first maybe eighth or a quarter of throttle, and then it was fine. I don't know if it was a condition of the machine being hot or something else. But we did go out the following day, and we hooked the groomer up to my machine to see how well it would pull it, and it pulled it quite well, except on trails that hadn't been groomed before or where the snow was quite deep. And then it struggled a bit more, it just didn't have enough traction, or it seemed to have enough power but not enough traction. And well, I would say it got fairly warm. It wasn't super hot, it wasn't running hard at any particular time, but it seemed to get enough of a heat cycle in it that everything just works better. It's even snappier, it's even cleaner running. For a 30-year-old sled, that's not that bad. So you'll have to stick around if you want to see some of the trails we were on yesterday though, and you'll have to wait for the Chilli Run, because that's where they're going to get highlighted, and that's going to be a good one. That said, upcoming, you're going to see some dirt bike action out on the trails. That's why we've been grooming, and that's coming up.